Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. So today I want to put forth a little bit of proof to my theory that it's a possibility that the world mother is a wolf and that there are bloodlines in the world that go back to wolves, that this is a real thing. This is a real thing. Just like, there are families that say they come from dragons. There's families that think that they come from different animals like lions and things like that. And it's because they all correlate with different solar systems, different star systems, galaxies, what have you. These are beings that are that live in other dimensions. So I want to put forth a little bit more proof because, a lot of people are talking about sightings with werewolves, dogmen, and there's something to these. There's something to these, and I think that that there are two different types, just like with like you have with the Sasquatch, and you have ones that have blue eyes that are illuminated, that are enlightened. They're enlightened, and these are working in service to the planet. And then you have some that are stuck in polarity, which are the nefarious ones that try to attack people and hurt people. But I do think that they were used as super soldiers. They were used as super soldiers in earlier times, and then you had some that got stuck in polarity. And so so right now we're seeing a lot of this stuff on the planet because we in 2012 especially is when our planet and its anti-particle self came into resonance with each other. And so we started seeing an uptick in a lot more sightings of cryptids all over the world. And this is one of the reasons why, is that, you have the universe is all harmonics, and everything has to be the right frequency to have things come in, have things go out, have things materialize, be able to perceive what you're seeing with your own eyes, because some people can't see the stuff, some people can. Some people can go out into the woods and they can see all kind of things. Some people can go out there and never see anything. So it's all about what kind of frequency you're on and how many of your DNA strands are activated, because we have a lot of malware in our DNA because of hybridization. It's plain and simple. This was a polarity experiment that just got carried away. It just got carried away, and people have they've forgotten what they're here for. It's been going on so long that the polarity experiment, the people that are in polarity don't want to come out of polarity. So now we have the the planet that's kind of like in a vice, and so we have basically a struggle that's going on right now. But I'm telling you that these wolf beings were real. They were real. And even Genghis Khan says that the Mongols come from the wolf, that they come from the wolf, that there was a wolf being called Bortechino like China, Bortechino, and that he had a female wife that was a human, a real life Beauty and the Beast story. Like, more proof right there. Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, the wolf human, the wolf with the human, and the bloodline that came from it. Ulf, U-L-F, Odin, the line of Odin. So the question is that are the Vikings and the Mongolians, are they related? I think that they are. I think that Tartaria was this descendants of these Mongols that were wolf hybrids. And they went to Germany. They went to Germany in ancient times. Because let's not forget, there was pole shifts. And what was down was now up. So people that were probably in Southeast Asia, they ended up north. They ended up north in the Russian area. And, in Europe. In Europe. So it's very possible that these people started out in Southeast Asia and they ended up in Europe and the Iberian Peninsula and all over the world. I mean, these people, these lines of people go back so far. I mean, really, the Tartarians, those are the Targaryens. This is the original line of humanoids that came from the dragon, the mother dragon, which was the Archangel Michael collective, the dragon lion, the griffin, This is why the Tartarians built all this beautiful architecture. But we had hybridization. So, you know, somehow or another we got a wolf in here. And this is, I think, my personal feeling is that the Hyperboreans, they were etheric beings. And that when they decided that they wanted to come into physicality, that maybe they chose wolf. And the reason that they chose a wolf was because the wolf is such a perfect example of duality in an animal. You have a really keen sense of intuition. You have even wolves are empathetic. Like you can read in all kind of myths how wolf mothers would nurse babies. They really are empathetic because they are super intelligent and they are capable of expressing emotions. So, you know, you also have them as ferocious. They're ferocious. They'll eat you up. So you have a very fine line of duality. So maybe this is why they chose the wolf for their avatar, their initial avatar, you know. So maybe they chose animal forms before the human forms formed, you know, because this was like, you know, trying on the suits that were available. I mean, you only wear one kind of shoes if there's only one kind of shoes available. But, you know, when you got a whole bunch of selections to choose from, you have more options. But maybe at the time they just didn't. Maybe that's what they had. They had to inhabit animal forms because their original forms were animals. You know, these different solar systems have different animal physiques. And how these came to be was because of their morphinogenic field. It might have been that the planet, that particular planet, had a certain type of cosmology around it that you needed to have big ears and that you needed to have tiny feet or whatever, or that you needed to have a tail for some reason, or, you know, for whatever reason. You know, the morphinogenic field determines where everything goes on the body. So, you know, who's to say that everything that was first here wasn't animals to start with before a human form? Because aren't we like, we're in our Father's image. We're in the image of our Father. So, you know, we have to be all of these things because God is all of everything. So, you know, so Genghis Khan claims that he came from wolves, that he came from a wolf. And so, you know, just like with Beauty and the Beast, Beast was a wolf, right? And he married a human woman. And then if you go to the whole Game of Thrones saga, the Game of Thrones, you can't tell me that's not about real life. The Targaryens are the Tartarians. And then this is why they can ride a dragon. It's because of dragon genetics. Just like the Tartars had back in antiquity when they were in Southeast Asia. This is why depictions of I think it's Genghis Khan, he has red hair. And that they found mummies down there in the Mongolian area that are like gigantic red-haired, fair-skinned beings. It's because these people were semi-angelic or they were semi-extraterrestrial, whatever you want to call it, because they were early times where we had Hyperboreans, we had people coming from the Sirius star systems, you had Lyrans here. You had people from Saturn. This is Saturnia. This is what you get Satan worship that's morphed out of, you know, mistakenly, twistedly. You know, it's just that the whole thing of polarity gone wrong. Whole thing of polarity gone wrong. So on the new series of Game of Thrones, which I think that Robert Baratheon is supposed to be King Robert Bruce. Hear me out. Stark family, the Stewart family, and then the family with you know, the little person, what's his name? What's their last name? The Tyrell Lannisters, the Lannister family, they have the golden lion, right? Lyra. This is why they always pay their debts and they're rich beyond That's the Archangel Michael Collective, the Lions. But I have to say, and you know, the Starks, because they have the dire wolf, right? Look at this headline here. Ulf White. Ulf White. Ulf means wolf. So this means Wolf White, which means white wolf. So who is Ulf White in the House of Dragon, and who's playing him? Well, let's look here and see who Ulf White is. Let's see who the white wolf is here. Because, you know, we got Jon Snow, that he has the white wolf named Ghost, which I have a huge Labradoodle. It's 118 pounds that's named Ghost. Okay, as the House of the Dragon Season 2 nears its end, Ulf White is finally getting his time to shine. Okay, so he can ride a dragon. Okay, so he is a bastard child. So he's a bastard child of the Targaryens, so he's part Tartarian, right? And let's see, who is his dad? Ulf has come a long way since he was introduced to us in a tavern scene, mouthing off about supposedly being the bastard son of Balon the Brave. So he comes from Balon. I'm not sure who Balon is. Ulf is one of the dragon seeds of Dragonstone, a bastard of Valyrian descent. So, I mean, let's just look at the word right there. Doesn't that sound like Vikings? Like Visigoths? I mean, come on. Valyrian, Iranian, Valerian, Lyria. Come on. I mean, there's so many words in this word. Lyria. They're from Lyra. So he's a bastard of Val-Lyra. Val-Lyra, Hyperborean Lyra. Something to think about. Like Valhalla, right? Along with the likes of Hugh Hammer and Nettles, who appears to have been cut from the series. Okay, so they cut a couple people out. As it is shown in the series, Ulf, or Wolf, is a big drinker. And he can't read or write. So he's a stupid drunk. He's a stupid drunk. Well, how about them drunk-ass Randolphs, right? They do like to drink. In episode 3, we saw his clear allegiance with the Blacks, as he refers to Jaehaerys Valerion as his nephew and the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Okay, so we're talking about the Iron Throne now. Okay, so although he swiftly shuts up when Aegon enters the tavern for fear of his life. So I need to figure out who his father is. Okay, so he goes to Rhaenyra because she needs people to fight for her, right? Remember, she doesn't have anybody to ride the dragons. So, because I've started watching this, but I had no idea that it had to do with my family bloodline. So Ulf seemed to regret his decision when he saw a fellow hopeful bashed to death by Vertimore. Oh yeah, that was when that other guy got on and it just went to go get the dragon and it just like annihilated him. So he's expecting to get blown up too, burn up. So, but the dragon bowed down to him. So he recognized that he is definitely he's the wolf, the white wolf. Ulf claims the dragon, and get the dragon's name is Silverwing. Come on. Silverwing is a she-dragon who was previously ridden by Queen Alysanne Targaryen, the queen and consort and sister of King. Oh, okay, I remember her. She was the cool older queen. I really liked her. I was so sad when she died, but boy, was she was a boss lady, wasn't she? Okay, so this guy is the white wolf. So what do you guys think this means? That he's the white wolf. It says in the Dance of Dragons, Ulf begins as a man at arms, a soldier usually of common descent. Just like I said, the wolves were mercenaries. They were fighters. They were fighters in antiquity. This is why they were the Vikings. Because they were fighters. They were big. They were huge. Can you imagine? They started out as these big wolves like people are seeing now. And then they morphed into humans. They're still going to be pretty darn big. I imagine when these guys came in and, you know, you have these tales of these banshees and all this stuff. Where do you think this comes from? Okay, so it says Ulf begins as a man-to-arm soldier before being able to mount Silverwing because he needed to become a dragon rider. So Ulf is granted knighthood, so he becomes a knight, and he's given lands on Driftmark. Okay, so Ulf gets in a battle, and this guy Hugh Hammer gets killed, but somehow he lives. That's interesting because I mean, let's go back to Scotland and all of the wars and things that happened, during that time, and Britain. I mean, you had all kind of battles going on. Could you imagine? Maybe this is why we had so many fires in old times, is because had dragons that was setting everything on fire. This is probably why Roger Spurs on Fossil Universities found all these dragon remains all over the earth, is because they used to ride these freaking dragons. He goes on to admit his ambitions of claiming the Iron Throne for himself. The Iron Throne for himself. So that is really interesting. So, I mean, there's more to this wolf stuff. There's a wolf lineage. There is a wolf lineage. And this wolf lineage is from old times, long time ago, old bloodlines that somehow survived and have been going long and strong in the shadows. And I know my family's one of them. And I don't even know how I ended up in this family, because my family got the shit end of the stick. They didn't get nothing. So don't think that I'm sitting here touting that I'm really somebody special, because I'm not. But it's really interesting that these lines go back to animals. And it's also really interesting is that I was born with like psychic intuition. And, my dad, his bloodline is really interesting. He's got these genetic codes because of the family intentionally keeping it in the family and then selectively marrying, because they knew about these DNA templates. They knew about their family lineage. They knew they came from wolves. They knew, because King Robert Bruce's mother, after her husband died, she turned around and she took King Robert the Bruce's father. She kidnapped him. Talk about a she-wolf. She kidnapped him, and she didn't let him go until he married her. And then she had a bunch of kids. So that almost sounds like some type of arrangement, if you ask me. That's some type of arrangement right there. So they knew something that people didn't know now. And then there's been centuries and centuries of the people that want to stay in power have squashed on it. Just like there's bloodlines from Jesus that are walking the planet right now. And they come in every single color. So, we've got to get outside of skin color and race, because that's totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. You have, it's all in genetics. It has nothing to do with your skin tone. Because that can be any of the gambit. I mean, I have all kind of different ancestry. And, when my daughter was born, she told me when she first started talking that she was from China. She told me that I wasn't her mother. She told me her mother was from China. And she told her dad that he wasn't her dad and that her dad was from China. And she was only about 2 years old. And I mean, she was very adamant about it. But one interesting thing about my daughter is she has really tiny feet, and they always hurt. Always hurt. I'm like, maybe you were a geisha, and that you bound your feet, and that's carried over with you from your past life. But I mean, there's something to it. I mean, there's something to where we come from and what we've signed up for our soul contracts for this lifetime. Working out problems in our family lines. I know that I've had a lot of shadow work that I've had to do in my family line, because there's lots and lots of trauma. Loads of trauma. There's all kind of blood covenants that my family has been put on my family that they've signed up for, because all of my family was not all good people. There's good and bad in every family. good and bad in every family. So, you know, there's blood covenants. There were Masons that were into the dark stuff, you know. There were occultists that were, you know, practicing this Luciferianism stuff, what they call Luciferianism. But, you know, Lucifer is a light bringer. See, they've even taken the whole legacy of Lucifer and twisted it. And Lucifer's polarity has just, he's got stuck in polarity. And, you know, I think Lucifer comes from Venus, you know, because we have Lucifer as a light bringer, and that means Venus. And then you have, I think the Statue of Liberty is actually the depiction of Lucifer, because they were androgynous, and it's about bringing justice. It's about the Libra. It's about, you know, it's about fairness. It's about shining light on things. So we have a lot of different things that are happening right now, because we have all of these shadow aspects of all of these higher dimensional beings that agreed to step into this polarity experiment. We have all of these groups, and see, now that we're in ascension cycle, it's time to get all the players off the field, because the game's coming to an end. We're going into the golden age. See, we've gotten to the end of our circle, and we're starting the new circle out, starting with its golden age. And see, great thing about now is that we're all waking up and we're coming online, because we've had help. We've had help from God Source and all of the different beings that work for God Source, that they're helping wake us up, so we don't keep making the same mistakes that happened last time in Atlantis when we about blew up the planet, you know. So we've a lot of lessons that we're learning. And for some reason, this wolf connection, I think it goes back to Germany. And it's going to be, I really feel like it's going to, there is a lot to do with Germany right now that's happening. And, you know, they have, a lot of them go back to these wolf people. These wolf people, and these people I think are in the Ukraine. I think that the Tartarians settled in Ukraine. I think that that's where Tartaria is. And so we've got a lot of change that's gonna come out of there. And you know, the German people, they've had the shit end of the stick for a long time, getting finger pointed at for the whole Zeta Reticuli infiltration and the creating of the Nazi regime. You know, there's many wonderful, amazing German people. There's German Jews, there's German Austrians, there's German Americans, there's German everything. These people are not all bad, they're not all Nazis. Just like every person in America that supports freedom is not a Nazi. It's not a Nazi. I come from the founding fathers. I'm not a Nazi, but I'm definitely proud to be an American. And I'm proud of the family that I have, and that they love this country, But I really do think that some of us go back to wolves, and some of us go back to lions, and some of us go back to, and these were our original avatars. And the Divine Mother, she's a wolf. She's a wolf. She lives in the North Pole in Hyperborea. And all of these wolf men, werewolves, dogmen, that's where they come from. That's where they come from. Now, where they're stuck in polarity at, obviously would be an anti-particle version of Earth, or some, I don't even know what dimension they would be coming through. I'm going to have to look at that more. I'm still trying to unravel, could this even be true? I would think that they would have to come in, they would have had to have come in through Southeast Asia planetary stargate, because if that's where my family originally came from, and it would have to be that Mongolian area in Southeast Asia. The Hyperboreans, that was the stargate that they came through. It would have had to have been like Nepal or Tibet. Oh, I have my book in another room. I've been studying today. I don't have my list of stargates, but I just think it's really interesting. It's something that we need to talk about more. It's something that we need to talk about. And you know, people that are really fascinated with the Sasquatch sightings. I mean, you have to think that maybe you come from Sirius or the Pleiades, because this is where these beings are. And there's many of them that are stuck in polarity too. They're stuck in polarity. And you know, I'm sure that there's some of them that are here because they're doing work, like they're contractors. I mean, they're not any different than us going to another country and doing work. They come to other planets. They do work. They do work. So, I mean, it opens a whole other door. You have to take a moment and think, okay, all right, what can we understand about these people, these beings that are here? They obviously have an agenda. So what is it they're doing? Are they working for somebody? Are they here because they're stuck here in polarity? Are they working out karma? Seriously, something to think about. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So, you know, do we all come from animals? Is there an animal that is our hybrid? Is it like the Golden Compass, where everybody had their little demon that was their animal part, their ego part, what animal it is, which one it goes to? Something to really think about. Something to think about, for real. So with that, where does your family go back to? Does your family go back to wolves? Do you think that your family's one of these serpent families? Do you think that your family goes back to the fairy folk? Or, you know, do you think that you could be from one of these insectoid families, or an Octurian? I mean, there's all kind of different heraldry that has swans, birds. You know, a lot of families go back to birds. One part of my family is these bird beings. The other part of my family is wolf beings. This is why I see the bird lady and the wolf mother. And I've seen praying mantis beings too. And so there's, you know, I just say my family's obviously world travelers. They've been around. They've collected these genetic templates, these DNA codes all around the world. So with that, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'd love to hear where you think that your family comes from. And if you've been able to do your family line and you've found like your oldest ancestors, what was their name? You know, we got to get into linguistics, and I think that we really need to learn how to read Old German. I was thinking Hebrew, but I'm starting to think Old German might be where we're going to find some of these really good books. Think about it. Because, you know, these old German people were these proto-Celtic people. This is the old group that was before Atlantis. Seriously, this is like the first root race. I think first or second root race. So, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. It's really, really interesting. So this is going to be a whole series of videos. We're going to take apart these families and where they could possibly come from. And you know, it's all, in the beginning, I did get, you know, that we're going to find everything that we need to know in the symbols. And, you know, in the crest and the symbols and the sigils and all of that. That's where all the information is. We're just going to have to learn how to read it. So when you come and find me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, present, future, all at the same time. So is the Game of Thrones about real life? You know, is the White Wolf coming back? Oh, and this is interesting. You know, when I went to Casadega not too long ago, and I picked up this box of tarot cards, and there's a lady that's named Amanda Ellis, and she has a YouTube channel, and her thing started playing on my feed this morning, and the reason that I found her was because she was the only one that had said anything about about a wolf mother, and she was doing it in one of her tarot readings. Well, anyway, she was doing a tarot reading this morning about Germany. And I was like, that's interesting. Let me go get my tarot cards. I haven't really even used them. I bought them when I was down in Casadega, but other than just opening them, I've not even looked at them. So they're like brand new. So I shuffle them and all this. And as she's asking her question, I'm asking my question. And I'm asking, you know, what's going to happen with Germany? What's coming with, what is happening for Germany? You know, what's going on? What's the moves here? And this is the card that I drew. Kid you not. The wolf card. The white wolf. Is she the white wolf? Is the world mother the white wolf? Is she an old Mongol Tartar from Hyperborea? Is she the queen of Earth? Is she the mother of Earth? And is she a wolf? She has jet black hair, and her body was wrapped in a fur. Maybe her body was wrapped in a fur because her body is a wolf body, and she didn't want me to see it. I don't know. Or maybe she was cold, but there was no snow. And she was the only woman. She was the only woman that was there. And the other men, they were dressed like Tarzan. You know, the original show from like the 70s. I don't know if any of y'all are old enough to remember that. My dad loved that crazy show. Well, Tarzan, that's truth in that too. The Amazon women. Hello. Yeah. Matriarchal society of women. The women that didn't need men to reproduce. Unless they wanted to have more women. They could have as many men as they wanted. Maybe they were opposite as a bee. That they could have more women. But usually, you know, this is how bees reproduce. And maybe that's the reason that it originally was. Is that you had women that only time that they wanted to have, they needed to have another female, was they had to physically reproduce with a male. So it would set the planet up to be matriarchally ruled. Just like with bumblebees. They can reproduce all by themselves and have all the male bees they want. But if they need to have another queen, they have to do the dirty. So that's pretty interesting. Because you have to have the energy. You have to have the yin and the yang energy to bring female into existence with bees. And maybe that's the way it was with humans originally. So I don't know. And the other interesting thing is that, you know, when you start studying this wolf legend stuff, this wolf lore, it's a lot of twin births involved in this. And so I started going back and looking at the Bible too. And when you go back and look, you have Jacob and Esau. And then you have that whole story about putting the animal fur on the arms so that when they went to get the blessing for the inheritance, that they could trick Isaac by having Esau's brother Jacob wearing the sheepskin. So was it because Esau was a werewolf? Think about it. Was he a wolf? Something to think about. And what about, I ran across this thing on Robert Seffer's channel where he's talking about Odin, okay? And he's also talking about the Bible. And there were some, I can't remember what exactly, if they were professors or if they were researchers. I'm sure that they had PhDs behind their name. But they had a whole genealogy chart where they go back to characters that are in the Bible. Okay? And it had their pedigrees. And it showed that there was a pedigree of this wolf family. And it has to do with the Marys that's in the Bible. The Mary that they talk about that wiped Jesus's body with her hair. Was she a wolf? Seriously, was she? She could have been. I mean, they talk about her wiping with her hair. So, you know, maybe we did have wolf beings. And, you know, even the Shoshone tribe, they talk about how at one time in the beginning, that the wolf, they consider the wolf mother, the creator of all. And that wolves at one time were walking, talking. And this is where you get this whole myth of the trickster story with either sometimes they make it a fox, sometimes they make it a coyote. It just depends. But they have this trickster story where they talk about how the wolf at one time could bring everyone back to life. And that there was a trickster coyote that was trying to trick the wolf, the mother wolf or the divine wolf, into showing about bringing people back to life or something. But anyway, it was just a trick. But the wolf already knew what the coyote was planning. But in a twist of events, the coyote's own child ended up getting killed, and he begged the wolf to please bring his child back to life, and the wolf wouldn't do it. And then that was the end of them being brought back to life. So, I mean, that's an interesting story because there's a lot of components in that you can take apart. But the one thing that you can take from that as obvious is that they talk about the wolf being the mother and that they were walking, talking beings that had intelligence and they were creators. So, you know, I mean, and it also says that dogs came from wolves, right? That the original wolf humanoid being use the dog to help communicate with man, to help bridge the gap with man. This is why they're man's best friend, is because the wolf, the world mother, who's a wolf, brought canines to humans. So anyway, love to hear what you have to say. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. Maybe we can get more people watching the channel. We're going to have some exciting stuff coming up in April. I'm taking you with me. And we're going to plan a trip across into Utah and Arizona. And I think we're going to end up in Las Vegas. So we're going to go to the Painted Desert, and we're going to go to Monument Mountain, and we're going to go to Zion in Utah. And I'm pretty sure in Zion is where the spot is, the energy spot is for the wolf mother. I'm pretty sure she's in Utah. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. That I definitely have to get to Utah. So, you know, I'm going to take all of y'all with me. We're going to share all these experiences together, and it's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible. I'm really excited about this trip. I think it's going to be wonderful things because we're sharing all of this with everyone free of charge. You know, there's no charge to get in this circle because I'm carrying everybody with me inside the circle of trust because we're all doing this together. We're all learning together. We're all waking up together, and we're all supporting each other. So with that, when you come and find me, I'll be here. We're living in the past, present, and the future all at the same time. Don't forget to get outside. Get your feet in the grass. Give thanks to Heavenly Father and the Divine Mother, Mother Earth. So I hope to catch you on the next one. And thanks for hanging out with me for 36 minutes on Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.